Oh, oh, it couldn't kill you. And it looks like this. That's exactly what it looks like. Can't see it, can't touch it. Okay, this story is about the invisible death. We'll start with this story. You know, we think we know about carbon monoxide, but a person can be prepared to survive in any circumstance like this poor young Marine. This story from Northwest Cable News, Washington. This was a follow-up story, nwcn.com. Very sad story. This young Marine died here in Idaho recently in that apartment complex. This is the follow-up from November 14th, it's about a month ago, by Karen Zatkulik. This is just one example. I'm going to talk about several aspects of this. Authorities say there were no batteries in the carbon monoxide detector inside the apartment where an 18-year-old Marine died of carbon monoxide poisoning Saturday. On Tuesday, the Ada County coroner confirmed the 18-year-old McQuinn Forbush died of acute carbon monoxide poisoning. All for lack of a functioning carbon monoxide detector. Isn't this sad? Forbush was on military leave and staying in his girlfriend's Meridian apartment near Boise when the tragedy occurred. Two major questions surrounding Forbush's death remain unanswered. Exactly what caused the deadly carbon monoxide leak from the water heater in the apartment unit? Could this tragic death have been prevented? And you can see that those are quite modern apartments. Authorities tell us there was a carbon monoxide detector in the apartment, but it never went off. There was a detector there. We understand that the batteries were taken out, which is very common, said Meridian Fire Chief Mark Niemeyer. The batteries were taken out. People do get annoyed by those chirping sounds, but batteries in those alarms will save lives. Fire officials say a water heater malfunctioned, causing the poisonous gas to get out at a high level. This happens all the time, folks. I know it sounds like I've been through all these things, but I really have, I guess for a reason. Years ago, I lived in what was really an old broken down apartment, and a water heater malfunctioned in it. And I began to get very ill, and only because I called the fire department did we find out it was carbon monoxide. Of course, in those days, people didn't use carbon monoxide detectors, and we should be using them. This is so sad. Police investigators are looking into what happened. They're talking with heating and cooling experts as well as professional builders. And this article goes on a little bit about this tragedy. Meanwhile, there's concern about the safety of nearby apartments. We can't say in one way or the other whether somebody in another apartment is more at risk than the apartment next door. We just can't make that determination, said Basterechea. Oh, sorry, I mispronounced that. This is a Basque name. Basterechea. Sorry. He says the only way to fight the poisonous, odorless, tasteless gas is a working carbon monoxide detector. To those who have alarms in place, take those preventative measures up front. Don't wait for something tragic to happen before you take any type of measure like this, said Basterechea. Niemeyer says stricter laws requiring the devices could be on their way. I think it could make a big difference. Certainly, we see a lot more gas appliances now within homes, within apartment complexes, and the only way to detect that gas is with a carbon monoxide detector, said Niemeyer. Okay. A former resident of the complex said they had a carbon monoxide issue in the past. It's not just apartments. Here's a recent article. And this is just gaining more and more attention, and it should, especially as people try to share houses, live in tents, live in their cars, heat with wood stoves. Wood stoves are a source of deadly carbon monoxide also, everybody. I didn't know that myself until quite recently. Excuse me while I try to adjust my window. Doctors say hotels need carbon monoxide alarms. Okay, I came across this recently. This is from Gary Stroller with USA Today, www.usatoday.com. And this article is fairly recent. It's a photo by Jeffrey Bone, AP. 8:51 p.m. EST, November 15th, 2012. Neil Hampson was inside his room at a lodge in Alaska during a salmon fishing vacation 3 years ago when his carbon monoxide alarm sounded. Sorry about the background noise. Hampson, a Seattle doctor and expert on carbon monoxide, went to the basement and found the CO2 level 4 times higher than normal, right? He says he turned off the gas for the water heater and CO levels throughout the building dropped precipitously. And look at this. Few rooms in 51,214 lodging properties with at least 15 rooms have CO alarms. It's very rare. To go back to the story, a plumber later found that the water heater was improperly vented, he says, and the lodge owner installed CO alarms in each sleeping room. Guests and staff at the lodge near Alaska's Kenai River were fortunate Hampson carries, this is a portable alarm, which detects the odorless, colorless poison gas that can cause brain damage or be lethal. Hotel guests face carbon monoxide risk. Guests in rooms at nearly all hotels, motels, and other lodging in the U.S. might not be as fortunate. Few of the roughly 4.9 million rooms in 51,214 lodging properties with at least 15 rooms have alarms. So, not to be, quote, alarmist, unquote, but a person should carry one. There's so many situations, as I say, wood stoves, gas furnaces, water heaters, and your vehicle, I'll get to that in a moment, can be sources of deadly CO2. And you're not going to see it, or smell it, or taste it. Although you might be able to detect a natural gas leak in your surroundings, you won't know about the CO2. Okay, coming back to the article. Only a handful of state, or municipal laws require CO2 detectors, although more than 13,000. I'm going to start over. I must have smelled CO2. I actually just bought a detector for my house. Only a handful of state or municipal laws require CO2 detectors, although more than 1,300 people were evacuated nationally from hotels because of high CO levels in recent years. Look at this. Carbon monoxide, often called the silent killer, is such a threat that the National Fire Protection Association says CO alarms should be near bedrooms in every home. From 2010 through November 8th, this should read 2012, there were 30 incidences of fire departments or government officials finding elevated levels of carbon monoxide at U.S. hotels. A USA Today analysis of more than 1,000 media reports and interviews with local fire departments found. In the 30 incidents, more than 1,300 people were evacuated, 8 died, and at least 170 were affected by CO2, carbon monoxide. Here's another example from recent years. About 180 people were evacuated on October 24th and about 55 others on November 6th at the Courtyard Marriott in Burlington, Vermont because of high CO2 levels. One guest died, 16 others were taken to a hospital, and the Holiday Inn Express in South Charleston, West Virginia, was evacuated on January 31st after carbon monoxide leaked into the hotel from a swimming pool heater. 5 teenagers celebrating a birthday were killed in a guest room at the Presidente Hotel in Hialeah, Florida in December 2010 after they left a car running in the motel's garage. They left a car running in the motel's garage. And you can go on with this article and read more. Very few people think to have a carbon monoxide alarm in their house, and a lot of people believe that their smoke detector will alert them. Well, no. That will only alert you to smoke, fire, and possibly sometimes excessive heat coming from an appliance. Okay? But smoke alarm will not detect carbon monoxide. The National Fire Protection Association says 81,100 non-fire carbon monoxide incidences were reported to U.S. fire departments in 2010, and more than 90% occurred in residential properties. So, not just lodges, not just hotels, not just apartment complexes, but private homes. The association recommends an alarm near each bedroom in a home, but has not made such a recommendation for hotels. Now, as I said, I just went out and got one last night because I'm staying in a place that's got a gas heater, and I just had a feeling. That I should get one. And you know what? It went off a little bit last night. It was a moderate alarm. It woke me up. I went in. I reset it. I opened some windows. I ventilated the area, and I always sleep with a window open. I've had it on all day. There hasn't been another incident of alarming, but I need to contact both the landlord, of course, and somebody to come and take a look at the furnace. And that's just to let you know this is a real thing, you guys. Okay, I'm not done yet. Actually, this is a website folks should look at. This is from the website www.silentshadow.org. The dangers of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide in your car. I'm familiar with this possibility also. Most often in this situation is when, oops, well, I'm not going to worry about that. But that was going to be a picture of a rusted out underbody of a car, especially in coastal areas where you're driving in areas that have a lot of salt water and the rain on the streets. Cars often rust out underneath. This happens all the time in Southeast Alaska and coastal Washington. Everything, not just the exhaust pipe, but everything will rust out underneath. People do get carbon monoxide poisoning from driving their rusted out cars. Okay? So even though now increasingly advanced systems over the years made it possible to cut carbon monoxide pollution, and today's vehicles produce far less carbon monoxide fumes and emissions than from vehicles 40 years ago, however, the pollution level from carbon monoxide fumes will also increase. And let me just tell you, you can be getting poison in your car. If you find you experience symptoms consistent with carbon monoxide poisoning whenever you are driving or in the car, it is important that you get your exhaust checked out for leaks. And if you live on the coast, maybe have the whole underbody of the vehicle checked. Symptoms of carbon monoxide, even from driving your car, may include headaches, dizziness, tiredness, flu-like symptoms, nausea, and ultimately loss of consciousness. You may find that your symptoms improve whenever you are away from the car, but come back or become worse whenever you are in the car. I've experienced this. This is a definite sign that you should get your vehicle checked out for carbon monoxide leakage. And of course, we know not to leave your car idling in your garage or any enclosed space. But you also, as I say, you can be endangered from driving your car if it's got a carbon monoxide issue. Washington just dealt with this. Washington State actually did something really good. King5.com, www.king5.com. Are you ready for Washington's new carbon monoxide detector law? So they are now mandating carbon monoxide detectors in residences. Oops. And here's a good example of a first alert detector, explosive gas and carbon monoxide alarm. You can come to this article. I'm running out of time, but it's by Jim Foreman, King 5 News, www.king5.com. Really good article. Among the slew of new laws that take effect New Year's Day is one aimed at saving lives by requiring carbon monoxide detectors in apartments, condos, and even single-family homes. Sources of CO2 can include unvented kerosene and gas space heaters, leaking chimneys and furnaces, backdrafting from furnaces, gas water heaters, wood stoves, fireplaces, and gas stoves. And detectors are already required for all new construction in the state. The next phase of the law covers older structures. Good for them. And you, by the way, if you buy one, get one that you can plug in. It's good to have the battery backup, but it's also a good idea to have one that you can also plug into the wall in or near your bedroom. Okay, so The story goes on to talk about something that happened to newly settled immigrants. Okay, I am really running out of time. I want you to pay attention to this, protect yourself. This is a little lengthy, but let's stay alive and do everything we can to stay safe. Protect yourself from carbon monoxide. Thank you. Two Wolves out.